Hello everybody, I wanted to show you today a pretty simple thing, setting up a new EC2 instance and running your Node.js application on it. In the later videos I will show you a way to automatically deploy your code whenever you push to the master or to another branch like production or something. And another thing is to show you how to set up an SSL, like if you got a domain and you got the instance running and the project is running as well on the instance, and you want to set up an SSL, so you got the HTTPS, using the HTTPL, the SSL encryption. So it's fairly easy. It will not cost you anything to set up the SSL, but today we are only focusing on how to set up an EC2 instance and deploy your application there. So let's say that you have an instance, a repo, a GitHub repo. I call it EC2 instance tutorial. This is a pretty simple HTTP server that only says hello world on a get request. I use here CORS, Express, TSX for the development server, as you can see here. And if we are going to load the server, we can see pretty simple hello world. Now how do we start here? We're going to the EC2. You can see I already have an instance here, but this is another project. We'll go for the launch instance. Let's call it EC2 tutorial. We will go with the Amazon Linux 2023. You can customize all the settings. I'll just go with the T2 micro because of the free tier eligibility. Of course, this is not a production grade instance. This is not enough RAM. It's not enough CPUs, cores. And let's say that we'll create a new pair of SSH. And create a new security group. Allow SSH traffic from anywhere. You can actually try to define it only your IP, but I'm on a Wi-Fi and I think I'll move to another network, so my IP will change and I don't want to stuck out of there. Also, we have the key pair here. Oops, I call it EX2 instead of EC2. Anyway, we want SSH traffic from anywhere. We want a low HTTP traffic from the internet and a low HTTPS. Later on, we will transfer the traffic through the HTTP, and then we will set up the SSL on the HTTPS. For the configuration, I will leave it for you to do. And now we'll wait. When the status check says 2 out of 2 checks passes and the instance state is running, we can proceed to connect to the instance. Now, you see here, when you click on the instance, you see the IPv4 address, the public IPv4 address. This address is not static. That means that if you will reboot the instance, this IP will change. So later on we need to grab some IP from the elastic IPs here, and we attach it to the instance instead of every time that we want to connect, we need to connect to another IP. So we'll do it later. Now we'll take the IP, and we have the file that we downloaded. It's called ex2 tutorial.pem. This is my typo. Should have been EC2 tutorial pem. And now we'll save it to some directory on our computer. So I'd like to save it under the SSH directory. So move download EX2. I'll move it to SSH. Now I'll cd into SSH. I can see it here. Now let me just change the name to EC2 tutorial.pm. Okay, and now we want to connect to the instance from the terminal. So we'll use SSH. I'm here on a Mac, so I have the SSH agent already installed. If you need some, if you're on Ubuntu, I think you already have the SSH agent already installed. Either on Windows, you need to download some SSH agent. You have a GUI, and you can just load the everything that we see here on the terminal to the GUI. So SSH -i, and we'll give it the name of the PEM, the private key, and we'll say EC2 user. This is our user of the EC2 instance, and we'll take the IP that we just copied. Now it will say, it will ask us if we want to connect to this host, because they don't know the authenticity of this host, because we don't have anything to authorize this auth, and we need to say yes, because we know this auth. Permanently unprotected private key file. This means that our key file is not with the right permission. So we need to change the permission of the key file. This happens sometimes. We need to do chmod 400 for the EC2 tutorial, and again, if we run this, it should work. Right, now we see that we are on Amazon Linux 2023. We are on the EC2 user, and we have nothing here. So basically we want to clone the repository of ours to here. So we're just going to go to GitHub tutorial for adding a private key, generating a new SSH key. We are on Linux, right? So we need to the SSH keygen, and we are typing here the email. So my email is bgt. Yep. And you can just click OK, OK, OK. Now we need to start the SSH agent. SSH add, of course. If you change the directory that you saved the file, then you need to change the directory that you added the file here also. So it added it to the SSH agent generally, and now what we want to do is add the private key that we just generated to our GitHub user. So we're just going to cat it. This is the content. Now we go to GitHub, settings, SSH and GPG, add a new SSH. Now we'll call it like EC2 tutorial. Authentication key, and we just paste the content. Add SSH key. That's it. Now we see here that it's grayed out, right? Because we never used it. If we'll go here to the repo, and we'll take the SSH address, and we'll say git clone. Oops. Here. Oh, I don't have git. install it on Amazon Linux. Right, git clone, whoops. I'll say yes, and we have it here. So first of all, we just added the repository to our instance. Now we can cd to it. Now we'll say I used pnpm, but here I don't think that I have pnpm dev, and I don't have pnpm, so we need to install nvm on Amazon. Just install nvm node version manager. No. Yeah, we just did it from here. Right. Okay, nvm install.ts. Now we use the latest version of the Node.js, and now we can do something like npm ig pnpm, and we can do something like this: pnpm tsc build, pnpm I first of all to install all the dependencies, and then pnpm tsc build, that is for building our project. And we can see here a new directory just created called dist, and now I can just do something like node dist index, and I have the server is running on port 3000, but we cannot access this port, here, because we didn't enable the access for this port on our security group. So we'll do it just right now under networking, security. I have the security group called Launch Wizard 4. This is a generic name that Amazon give the Launch Wizard, the security group. So we see that we have inbound rules for 443, 800, and 22, and we need to add another one for 3000, just for the sake of the simplicity of the of this tutorial. And I will say something like this: we go to inbound rule, edit, add a new one, so it's custom TCP port 3000, anywhere IPv4. Now anyone can load your website here, HTTP without HTTPS, of course, because we haven't enabled the SSL. And now we have the Hello World, the project itself here. But you can see that if I'm closing this session, I can no longer run this access this site. So actually what I would like to do is install PM2. This is another library for running Node.js application in the background. So we'll just add it here, pnpm add -g for global installation PM2. Pnpm setup first of all. If it's the first time that you're using pnpm, so you need to run pnpm setup first of all, and run the source, of course. Now pnpm add -g PM2. Now we can use something like let's wait for it to finish. Okay, pm2 start dist index, and we can see that we have the application running. You can see that we can access it again, and even if I close this session and I'm out of the Amazon Linux, it's still running. So I will connect again, and I can stop it. Stop. This index is 0, so I can stop it, and you can see the status is stopped, and we can no longer access the site. So that's it for now. Later on we'll go on how to get a static IP so it won't change every time you reboot the instance, and of course how to set up an SSL and domain.